Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they wouldn't feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So let's see here. I was actually asked about my Colonial Carnage list because I had a couple tournaments, and I'm sorry for not posting some videos. I just haven't been able to get all the pictures in for to tell the full story, and I want to apologize in advance. I don't have all the pictures to tell the story on this one, so I started using when we get to the end one slide, just drawing arrows all over the place, and I'll do my best to tell people exactly what happened through the game. So this is going to be a Ninth Age battle report, and I went out to Colonial Carnage. So far, 2020, or I'll say the mass. I didn't go to Masters this year because it fell the weekend before my wife's birthday, and that was Super Bowl, and I was and it just worked out that I didn't go to Masters. I spent that day with my wife, which is always a very good thing. Um, December, I played Grail Quest, which counts towards 2021 Masters. And there I got second place. Travis Wayworth beat me by 1 point, and I may go back. I do have a lot of pictures from that tournament, and go back and try to post something. I've got a pic of Gene getting his award, and that was a lot of fun. That's going to be that was up in Mythicos, up in Jersey. As a matter of fact, I'm going to a 1 day tournament just another week, in just one more week. But anyway, and I do apologize. I always like to tell people stuff that's going on. Uh, this is a verm. So this is Colonial Carnage, and what was the gentleman's name? I was actually asked why I did not list this as a red matchup by Intrigue at Court up on the forums. He said, "Hello. Is it possible to give an in-depth analysis of how you approach the Vermin Swarm matchup? I noticed you didn't even mark it as red." I don't know how he saw my matrix. I did not mark it as red. At least I don't think so. I marked it up as yellow, but I also don't know how. I don't know who this individual is and how he knew that. Now the reason I marked him up as yellow is here's his list. I viewed it as whoever outplayed the other player, that's who was going to get the win. His Vermin Demon's scary, but again, I have tools to deal with it. His Monstrous Rat, which has Hero's Heart, it has a Breath Weapon. The Breath Weapon is actually what scares me about that. And has a 4-up Fortitude save. Um, I have so many magical attacks in my army. I have Grail Knights. The Unicorn gives magical attacks to the whatever unit it's in, which is usually Knights of the Realm. I can break the Hero's Heart with my BSB, and if my Duke goes in, my Duke really does not worry about his BSB. The Adept's the Adept, the Mechanist. Nasty little tricks with that silly thing. He's got 53 red arms. That unit scares me, and if you turn around and you throw the Meat Grinder in there, that unit definitely has me concerned. The giant rats are fantastic chaff. The 10 footpads is a simple little scoring unit. The vermin hulks are only AP2, so I have a 4-up, 5-up versus that unit. It, I believe that they have battle focus, so they can dish out a ton of attacks. But because I have such small frontage of only having 3 wide, so at most he's going to have is 6 models hitting me. The Plague Disciples are an issue, but again, I have Healing Waters, so I'd have a 5-up or a 4-up Fortitude save. I have one spell that makes me Resilience 4, another spell or +1 Resilience, another spell that's +2 to +3 Resilience. So I have defense against a lot of the different toxic attacks in this list. This list to me is a close combat oriented, and doesn't, believe it or not, doesn't concern me as much. The Meat Grinder is going in with the spears. Again, that's an issue. He's got 2 Dread Mills. They're only range 18, so I just need to be careful with my Duke. Make sure my Duke is not able to get shot off turn one, and that's basically it. Here's my list. A lot of people have mentioned that like my Duke is not resilient enough. I've got to be honest. Resilience 5 with a 5 up Aegis save, 3 up armor. That's and he comes back from the dead with 1 wound. He's solid. Um, Wafers on the Unicorn Damsel. That is just. I don't know if you're playing KoE. I don't know why you wouldn't take that. The Paladin. There's so many different choices for the BSB. The reason I've taken Tristan's is I was for a while there. I was fielding Wormwood Core because my biggest issue was hordes, hordes of zombies and everything else. Since then, I feel that I've cleaned up my gameplay, so now that those armies are not as much of an issue. But you've got Burning Portent Lords running rampant. You've got the Sliver Prince running rampant. You've got um, Doomblades running rampant. What else? He's got something in here too. The Hero's Heart running rampant. So that's that. The other thing that people have commented to me about is why do I have the Mayor of the Last Charge on only 8 aspirants versus the Knights of the Realm? First off, BSB goes to Knights of the Realm, so that's going to take me from 12 impact hits to 8 impact hits. So if I'm only going to get 8 impact hits, give that to the aspirants. They need it because they're only strength 5 on the charge, and they have a greater chance of getting into combat than the Knights of Realm because they get to reroll. I can do a longer bomb charge. Yeoman or yeoman. I love my scorpions. I love my crossbows. I've been told by several people to take those out of my list, and the thing is they do exactly what I need them to do. They either kill chaff. They can be a scoring unit for when I need them to score, and all I need the way I play my list is like 1 or 2 models taken off of a rank so that I can then break steadfast. And the Grail's the Flaming Banner. I love that unit. And that's that. So here's the board. We're playing Refuse Flank, so you can see we're positioned. And King of the Hill. You see the little token. That little thing is supposed to be actually a forest. And that's it. So going from left to right, I've got my aspirants on the left-hand side of the building, my Knights of the Realm to the right of the building, my archers, Grail Knights. Green Knights on top of my magic card so I don't forget to put them out. My yeomen are hidden away from his magic. That was my primary concern, is I don't want him magicking off my yeoman. If you notice, he's actually hiding his Vermin Demon because of my Scorpions, and my Duke is just about a half inch outside of range from his one Doom Wheel, and his other Doom Wheel is all the way on the far side. The reason why the board deployment looks like this is he deployed first, I deployed a Scorpion. He deployed again, I deployed a Scorpion. He deployed again, I put down my archers. And he saw me doing that, and he goes, all right, I'm just going to put everything down. And he did, because at that point I was getting kind of to his meat and potatoes type of deal, and he didn't know where I was going to go. The reason I didn't put anything on the hill is I felt that getting into combat that quickly versus army is actually advantageous to him. I had to let things matriculate. And with KoE, you need to play the game as all 6 turns. I used to play the army as, all right, here's my turn to charge and crush, and if it works, great. If not, I'm in a load of hurt. And that's just, as I'm telling people, is you work harder, not work smarter, not harder. So, and this list is variation of what I've been playing for almost a year now. So during his turn, he moves up, and I counter with during my first turn where my aspirants come around the bend. Again, I'm not worried about the giant rats charging into them. Not worried about his Dreadmill going into the Knights of the Realm. As a matter of fact, I wanted to try to get him to move it closer to try to go after my Duke. He could not hide it. Um, and I had my yeoman sitting back there guarding the giant rats. So at this point, he just backs everything up, and it looks like this. I need. So what the lines here are going to represent is I declare a long bomb charge into that one Dreadmill. I need an 11 on dice because it is 19 away. And the other thing I want to point out, so he had his mechanics. Let me go back just a few picks here. So going from left to right with his list, he's got his giant rats. He has a Dreadmill. He's got his disciples with mechanics in there. He's got his Vermin Guard, which is sitting in the water with, I'm not sure any characters in there. And then he's got his Vermin Hulks, his BSBs all the way in the back, and another Dreadmill. There's that big, big brick of spears. I don't like that. And then there's his Vermin Demon. So now let's go back forward to where we were. So he moved thinking that either he was going to have to charge or I was going to charge him. The following turn, he moved his mechanist out into the Vermin Hulks, and he did that so that they still have the ability to fire into either my Grails or Knights of the Realm. So that's what he did. I saw that as an opportunity because they're different heights. One's standard, one's large. I fired both my Scorpions into that unit, and I was able to pick out the Mechanist. With that said, is also with that long bomb charge, as I said, I need 11. I rolled 6, 6, and 4. So the Knights of the Realm go marching into that one unit. He did position it very well so that I could not have gotten a flank charge as much as I really, really wanted to. Could not have gotten that flank charge. What I did do, though, is I popped out the Green Knight. The reason I popped out the Green Knight is he still, no matter what, was going to have line of sight with his disciples, line of sight with his Vermin Guard, and his whatever they are, the Vermin Hulks into the Knights of the Realm. And that's too much to lose that quickly. So going which unit do I care about the most? I cared about the Vermin Hulks getting into that combat versus the others. So that's the one unit I chose to chaff. Pardon me. And that's exactly what we did. Could I have done it better? Very possibly, but I thought that was the right play. We had it so that he could not move forward without hitting my Green Knight. And the 2 white arrows here represent that I'm within 12 inches of both my mages. Why is that important? I'm stubborn. And he does not want to get stuck on a stubborn unit. There's a pick. I got 2 spells. I got Awaken the Beast and something else up on them. It actually survives this combat, by the way. So it lives, it breaks, it runs, and I chose not to pursue. Why did I choose not to pursue? Because I would have been staring at the going center to center further down the line from his disciples or his Vermin Guard, and that's not where I wanted to be. And the reason why I didn't want to be like that is if they then charge and I fled or broke, I'm off the board no matter what. And that's exactly what he did. Is he charged in with his disciples first. I looked down, I'm like, I'm going to flee. My aspirant stuck, thankfully, leadership 9 because of my general right there. And he redirected into my grails. I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that. He goes into the grails and he manages to kill, I want to say 2 or 3. I think he kills 3 of the Grail Knights. And however, when I turned around and I swung back, I think we end up pushing on that combat. And Let's see. You know what? I'm not sure if yeah, because I was down to only one wound. That thing should have been on half leadership. I think he rolled a 4 though, so and it's leadership 8 or 7. So disciples go in, we match there, and then it's my turn, which I'm fine with. If you look, my Duke is right there. So he knows what my Duke does, but he doesn't know how efficiently he performs. So I charge in the Duke into that combat and delete the unit during my turn. The other thing that I do of note is making sure that he's within 12 inches from my one damsel. I managed to charge the flank. So we're just going to go back a pick. So he lines them up lengthwise, as you can see here, and I can just see his tail end. We put my finger down, we do the wheel. I can easily clear his vermin hulks without any questions. And I'm thinking. I'm like, I still think it's a good call. I'm going to go ahead and choose to charge. He passes his terror test. He passes his fear test. But this is why this is huge. His vermin hulks are now stuck. All right, so he either turns around, reforms, and goes the other way, in which case it's kind of House the Hunter type of deal, or he joins that combat, or he waits thinking that he's going to go ahead and pop me and do whatever. So he just sits there, he waits, and he's waiting for me to go head on in, or waiting for his unit to uh, take out my Green Knight. My Green Knight's killing about 3 to 4 models a turn. Pardon me. So it's not an issue for me to just be sticking with that combat. The next turn, I charge in. My next turn, I charge in with my Ground Knights, and this was the last picture of our game, by the way. I charge in there with my Ground Knights, which were down to 6 models. I think I healed them back up to 7 by the time of our combat, and I charge in with my Duke. He goes, "Oh dear God, that Duke, that Duke, that Duke," and the Duke goes ahead, kills the meat grinder on the charge, kills. I between my Green Knight, the Grail Knights, and everything else, I must have taken. I removed easily 20 models between the 2 turns. And the following turn, he countercharges. So I've already declared those 2 units there are in combat, represented by the 1 white arrow. He goes into the Green Knight with his Vermin Hulk and his Dreadmill. It all fits, it's all good. He loses that combat. He only manages to put 2 wounds onto my Green Knight. And so he puts 2 wounds on my Green Knight, and I killed another score of the rat the rat arms. So I'm just killing over 10 miles a turn. My aspirants go into the Doom Wheel, killing the Doom Wheel, and between his magic, his shooting, and everything else, I'm only down to 2 Knight aspirants. Those aspirants then, after beating that unit up, join in versus the Vermin Hulks. As I said, the Dreadmill fled. Let's see. The Vermin Demon is chaffed by the chaff, and he does not want to engage because it's going to put him go into La La Land. He doesn't know how long he's going to be able to hold out versus my Duke and that and the Grails and everything else. So he goes ahead and he withdraws to make sure he stays away from my Scorpion. Because he withdrew, I actually grind and they flee. That unit of rat arms flees. My Duke, who's extended, and he had shifted down to get more combatants in on the Green Knight. My Duke overruns into that combat after he kills that unit, and my Knights of the Realm or Knight Aspirants are now into that unit. The following turn, it counts as a fresh charge, and he goes, "Oh crap!" He puts scrying up to try to save that unit. I get him down to 2 Vermin Hulks. At that point, they're no longer steadfast, and that that unit breaks. And because he never went into my chaff goes into the flank of his the guy with the slings, foot pads. He goes into the foot pads, and he fails his steadfast test, which has them break. The Knights of the Realm took them a couple of turns to get back into the game, but they went into the Vermingard. Then that same unit went into his BSB, broke the paired weapon, the magical paired weapons, the Hero's Heart, and that's it. He actually stuck from that charge because I failed to wound with everything, but I did my job. I took the breath weapon out and everything else. He stuck, I stuck. In the game, I end up getting the aspirants just into because those 2 aspirants actually lived. Um, I end up claiming the objective. All he has left is his BSB and his Vermin Demon. Ends up being a 16-4 to me, but because the objective becomes a 19-1. Hopefully, I've explained why I grade this as a yellow match versus a red match. Literally, I think to me the big difference was catapults, but this has become a very monster-heavy meta, and I think rather than catapults, I think that the cannons might be a better choice. But for me personally, playing KoE, catapults are just deadly. His toxic catapults are just absolutely deadly. Um, yeah, that's all I can remember from this game. And if you have any questions or concerns, please go ahead and post. I'll respond as quickly as possible. Until next time, happy gaming.